what kind of advice would you do for the local artists that would
For the learning experience, I guess what we as Palestinians would learn from the struggle for social justice in Brazil is the creative ideas that come out of here. And those creative ideas are a result of the fact that there is a wider margin of freedom that activists in Brazil have than the margin of freedom that we have under Israeli oppression. So that wider margin of freedom allows space for creativity, allows space for maneuvering around the dominant powers in this country. So we learn from the creativity of activists in Palestine. As I mentioned in many events that we have a form of, we've learned from different examples of Brazilian activists to build a shelter out of scratch, which is something that is done in different places over here. The motivation for why we build out of scratch while Brazilians build out of scratch, like it's politically different, but the social and economic environment is made similar. So we build out of tires, for example. So we learn from the creativity of Brazilian activists. But on the other side, what I hope to bring to Brazilian activists is the resilience. Our enemy is not elected every 4 years. We have no chance of having an Israeli government that will fight for equality for the Palestinian people. We don't have that. Like for the past 71 years, right-wing Israeli governments, left-wing Israeli governments, centrist Israeli governments have proceeded into the elimination of the Palestinian society. So what we have is an enemy that has been going on for 70 years, destroying Palestinian life and as every aspect of it. Yet, the power of our enemy, the power of the dominant power, is not intimidating us to fall into complete submission. We recognize the racism of the dominant power, and the more we recognize it, the more we stand firm against it, and the more we reject it. So when we have a racist government that comes to power in Brazil for 4 years, that's not an opportunity for people to feel defeated and be submissive. That's an opportunity for resistance and standing firmly and powerfully on the side of social justice. Because if we would have the same attitude, we would have been defeated 4 years into the establishment of the Zionist entity in Palestine, which would be 1953. But we wouldn't. As long as there is oppression, the existence of oppression is a firm call for resistance. And that resistance takes the shape of social equality, social justice, protection of the vulnerable and the poor, standing firm on the side of those who are subject to racism, like whether you are black, whether you are indigenous, whether you are a woman, you are a child, you are poor. Like the existence of oppression is a call for the responsible activists to stand firmly against injustice. So once again, I keep telling people that if you fight, you might lose, given the power of the strength of the dominant power. But if you don't, you've already lost. You know, and we need to refuse the aspect of becoming losers because if we lose, the fascists will win, and that's the other side of the coin. So as long as there are fascism in power, then it's our duty, not privilege. It's your duty as a responsible survivor, as a responsible activist. It's your duty to stand against oppression. And as a Jewish rabbi once said, in situations of injustice, few are guilty, but all are responsible. So when there is like social injustice, I wouldn't say like, oh, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty. No, you are guilty, but I am responsible to fix the social injustice that your criminal behavior have caused. So we need to be more firm. We need to be more strong in the quest of providing vulnerable people with the protection and support that they need. And it's not a privilege. It's not, we're not doing them a favor. That's our duty as decent human beings, you know?